Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. It's your tutor, Disha. Today, we'll be revising the skeletal system for the upcoming human and social biology examination. I'll be running through the importance of the skeletal system, skeletal bones, the anatomy and physiology of a bone, associated structures of the skeletal system, skeletal muscle functions, locomotion importance, and lastly, bone health. So the skeletal system is made up of bone cells like osteocytes and osteoblasts, connective tissues like bones, and several skeletal muscle tissues. Now, how is the skeletal system important to organisms? I call this the skeletal system's Big Five. Yes, there are 5 major functions or importance of the skeletal system: protection, movement, posture, storage, and the production of blood components. Let's start with protection. The skeleton protects the vital organs from shock and injury. What are some of the vital organs in our body? That's right, the heart, the lungs, the brain, and you should know that the skull protects the brain, the rib cage protects the heart and lungs, and the backbone protects our spinal cord. Secondly, movement. Remember I said that the skeletal system had connective tissues. They all work together to make us move from one place to another. Thirdly, posture. The skeletal system helps to give good posture. It holds the body in shape, and it also enables the vital organ to sit in one place. Next, we have storage. The bones of the skeletal system store minerals like calcium and vitamin D. Lastly, the bones are the site of production of blood components like red blood cells and white blood cells, and this is specifically in the bone marrow. Let's now talk about the major skeletal bones. Class, what is a bone? Is a bone living or a bone dead? Which one? Bone is a living connective tissue. Why? Because it's made of living cells and a matrix. Let's look at some of the major skeletal bones of the human skeleton. Let's look at my chart. Do you think you can tell me the names of these bones? Don't worry, I'll help you. A is the cranium. B and C are the upper and lower mandibles. R here shows us the rib cage. What did I say the rib cage do again? Good job, protects the heart and the lungs. Now, sitting in the middle of the rib cage, we have this structure called sternum. The bone at J is called the clavicle, and the bone at K on both sides is called the shoulder blades. Let's now look at the bones in the hand. This long bone in the upper arm at G is called the humerus. And these two bones here in the lower arm, F is the ulna and E is the radius. Moving downward to the diaphragm region, here we have vertebral column, or what you would call the spine. Below this column, we have a butterfly-shaped bone called the pelvic girdle. Let's move down now. Here's another long bone similar to that in the upper arm. We call this long bone the femur. Sitting between the femur is another bone. We say this bone is the patella. And lastly, just like what we had in the lower arm, we had 2 bones here. In the lower leg, we have 2 bones too. We call the front bone the tibia, and the backbone here the fibula. And these are some of the major bones that make up the skeleton. Let's look at the tibia a little bit more. We're going to use this bone to talk about the general anatomy and physiology of a bone. Remember, HSB students, from the very start of the course, you should know what the terms anatomy and physiology mean. Brilliant HSB students using brilliant words to replace structure and function. Let's look at some of these structures in this long bone. The first region of this long bone is called the periosteum. This periosteum is a tough membrane that covers and protects the outside of the bone. Immediately to the periosteum, we have the compact bone. The compact bone is a hard tissue that provides the structural support to the bone. The endosteum also sits right here in the marrow cavity. The spongy bone is a porous structure that houses the bone marrow. Now, for the bones in the skeleton to carry out their functions, we have some associated structures. These structures include cartilage, tendon, ligament, and joints. A cartilage is a smooth and flexible connective tissue that cover the tips of bones where they meet. And because they are found where the bones meet, they reduce the friction whenever we are moving. Here's a common HSB past paper question. Can you tell me 3 places in the body where you can find cartilage besides in between bones? You can find cartilage in the nose, the ear lobes, and in the bronchioles. A tendon is a tough connective tissue made of collagen that connects muscles to bones. A ligament is another connective tissue that assists joints to hold the bones together. And lastly, joints. Joints occur where bones come together. Let's talk a little bit more on joints. We have 3 types of joints in the body. We have immovable joints. As the name suggests, they don't allow movement. For example, look at the bones of the skull. You can see there are several bones. We find immovable joints. And these joints lock the bones of the skull tightly. Next, we have slightly movable joints. And slightly movable joints, they allow limited movement of bones. The bones of the rib cage are slightly movable when we exhale and inhale. The bones of the vertebral column also can move a little bit. Lastly, we have movable joints. And movable joints, as the name suggests, allow our bones to move in a wide variety of direction. I can move my wrist in a 360 direction. So that means I have a ball and socket joint at my wrist. I can also move my knees in a 180 fashion. So I have a hinge joint at my knee. I can also move my hips. So I have a ball and socket joint at my hip bones. We are ready to move on to skeletal muscle functions. The 2 major muscles in the skeletal system that you need to know for your exam are triceps and biceps. Name giving you any clue? Biceps, bi means 2, are made up of 2 muscles. Triceps, tri means 3, they're made up of 3 muscles. The triceps and biceps work together in an opposing fashion. We call this opposing characteristics antagonistic. We say an antagonistic muscle is a muscle that opposes the action of another. How does this happen? When the bicep contracts, the triceps relax. And when the triceps contract, the biceps relax. I'm going to give you an assignment now. I want you to go now and research the points of origin and insertion for both the triceps and biceps. Yes, you need to know that for your examination. Locomotion importance. Recall, locomotion is the movement that occurs in organisms. Why do we need to locomote? Or why do we need to move? Well, for me, I move to look for food, from classrooms to classroom to teach science. Different organisms, they move for a variety of reasons. To find food, find a mate, escape predators, and so on. Let's now conclude this revision by looking at bone health. So with all the importance of the skeleton, all the big 5 roles that we spoke about, we need to maintain bone health. We can maintain bone health through eating a balanced diet, consuming food like milk that is packed with calcium needed for the development of our bones. And we also need to exercise so that we can have good muscle tone. And if we don't take care of our skeletal system, then we can develop some serious bone diseases. I'm talking about osteoporosis, arthritis, or even rickets. And you can also practice good posture, standing up straight, sitting up straight. For the ladies, you can reduce wearing those high heels that strain the muscles in your ankle. All right, guys, so that's it with the skeletal system revision. Remember, using these points to guide your reading accordingly. Many years ago, I practiced, and in the end, it actually paid off. I got the highest grade in human and social biology at my institution, and also leaving high school with a grade 1 in human and social biology. I believe in you. Good luck and get to reading now.